warm welcome to Minecraft, the space where we explore the art and science of shaping a more intentional life. I'm your host, and I'm so glad you're here. In this quiet space, let's allow ourselves to set aside the burdens and worries of a long day. Take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. Feel your own presence, right here, right now. Today on Minecraft, I want to invite you to reflect on a topic that perhaps all of us have struggled and wrestled with. It's the concept of discipline. But we're not going to talk about discipline in the usual way. We won't be discussing harsh methods, minute-by-minute plans, or self-imposed punishments for failing to meet our goals. No, today we will explore a different path, a gentler, more sustainable, and perhaps more human path. A path called forging discipline from self-compassion, not self-punishment. My dear friend, do you ever feel like you're living with an invisible jailer? A jailer who is always by your side, holding a notebook, ready to write down all your mistakes. This morning, you hit the snooze button and slept in for 15 more minutes. So lazy, the jailer growls. At lunch, you had a piece of cake instead of a salad. No willpower, the jailer shakes his head. In the evening, instead of reading a book or learning a new skill, you scrolled aimlessly on your phone. Wasting time again. You'll never amount to anything, the jailer concludes. That voice, it's frighteningly familiar, isn't it? It might take the form of a parent's teachings, a teacher's strictness, or society's standards. But gradually, it has become our own voice. We have turned ourselves into our own harshest jailer. This jailer is very sophisticated. It doesn't just appear when we fail. It also creeps in when we succeed. You finish a project well, and it whispers, "It's okay, but someone else could have done it better." You reach a goal, and it says, "Don't celebrate too soon. Let's see how long you can keep it up." It steals our joy and makes us constantly feel that we are not good enough. We believe that to become better, to achieve success, we must constantly criticize and berate ourselves. We believe the pain of self-reproach will be the motivation to move forward. We call it iron discipline. We think we are training ourselves, but let's be honest with each other for a moment. Is that method truly effective? Perhaps, in the short term, it works. The fear of being criticized, the feeling of guilt can push us out of bed in the morning or force us to sit at our desks. But what about in the long run? What we often get is chronic fatigue, a feeling of exhaustion, not from the work, but from the endless war with ourselves. We feel anxious, stressed. Every goal we set is no longer an exciting adventure, but a heavy test where failure means we are worthless. It erodes our creativity and courage to try new things because the fear of making mistakes becomes too great. And do you know what the worst part is? When the punishment becomes too much to bear, we do what any prisoner would do. We try to escape. We give up. We give up on waking up early, on eating healthy, on learning. We let go because that battle is too painful. And then the cycle begins again. We beat ourselves up for giving up, and we promise to be more disciplined. Next time, a loop of punishment, exhaustion, giving up, and then more punishment. Does that sound exhausting? If you feel a bit of empathy, if you see yourself in this story, then I'm here to tell you, you are not alone. And more importantly, there is another way. Before we step onto the new path, the path of compassion, perhaps we should take a moment to understand where that jailer comes from. Why does that harsh voice have such great power in our minds? It wasn't born out of thin air. That jailer is nurtured by many factors. It was nurtured from our childhood days, when we were taught that a perfect score was good, while a B or C was not trying hard enough. It was watered by a society that always glorifies extraordinary achievers, people who work 18 hours a day, and inadvertently plants in our minds the idea that rest is a luxury, even a sin. That jailer also grew from the subtle comparisons on social media. We scroll through perfect pictures, meticulously edited success stories, and then look at our own messy lives, our unnamed failures, and feel so inadequate. We forget that we are comparing our behind-the-scenes footage, full of effort, sweat, tears, and messy moments, with their carefully edited feature film. And sometimes, that jailer is deeply marked by culture, where humility is misunderstood as self-deprecation, where acknowledging one's own efforts is seen as arrogant. We are taught to always look at our shortcomings to strive, but we are not taught how to recognize what we have accomplished. Understanding the origin of this voice is not to blame family, society, or anyone else. it is for us to realize that that voice is not the absolute truth about who you are. It is a programmed thinking habit, a product of education and environment. Perhaps, in the past, it was useful as a self-defense mechanism to help us fit in, to avoid criticism from the outside. But now, as we have grown, that mechanism has become outdated and counterproductive. And once it's a habit, it can be changed, reprogrammed. Realizing this is like discovering that the glasses you are wearing are dirty. The dirt is not the nature of the world. You just need to gently take them off, clean them, and look at everything again through a clearer lens. So, what is that other path? It is to build discipline from compassion. When we hear compassion or self-forgiveness, many of us might be a little hesitant. Oh, that sounds like a way to indulge myself, to make excuses for laziness, right? If I easily forgive myself, how can I improve? This is a very common but very harmful misunderstanding. Self-compassion is not indulgence. It is not letting go. It doesn't mean you say, whatever, I don't need to do anything, it's fine to just lie here. No. Compassion in this context is a fundamental change in your attitude towards yourself, especially when facing failure and difficulties. Try to imagine this. You have a best friend. That friend is trying to run every day. One day, because they were too tired, they missed a session and felt extremely guilty. What would you say to them? Would you yell in their face, "You're useless. You gave up just like that. You'll never lose weight"? I'm sure you wouldn't. Perhaps you would put a hand on their shoulder and say gently, "It's okay. Everyone has tired days. Your body needs rest. Missing one session doesn't mean all your efforts are wasted. Let's start again tomorrow, okay? Or maybe we can just go for a light walk today to feel better." You see? That is compassion. It doesn't deny the fact that the goal was not met, but it faces that fact with understanding, kindness, and encouragement, instead of criticism and contempt. It sees the problem clearly, but without harsh judgment. Building discipline from compassion is learning to be that best friend to yourself. Why is this method more effective? The answer lies deep in the wiring of our brains, in the interplay between our ancient survival systems. Let's take a closer look at what's happening under the hood. Our brains have two primary operating systems for dealing with the world: a threat system and a care system. The threat system is our ancient survival mechanism. Its primary job is to detect danger and keep us safe. When you criticize yourself, your brain doesn't know the difference between the threat of your own harsh words and the threat of a predator in the wild. The amygdala, your brain's smoke detector, sounds the alarm. This triggers a cascade of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tense, your breathing becomes shallow. You are in a low-grade, chronic state of fight, flight, or freeze. In this state, your focus narrows to a tunnel vision, obsessed with the perceived problem. The prefrontal cortex, the wise, rational part of your brain responsible for planning, learning, and creative problem-solving, goes partially offline. You literally cannot think clearly. You are operating from a place of fear, not wisdom. And living in this state long-term doesn't just exhaust you mentally, it has real physical consequences. It can disrupt your digestion, weaken your immune system, and sabotage your sleep. Self-criticism, therefore, is not a neutral act. It is an act of physiological self-harm. Now let's look at the alternative, the care system. This system is designed for connection, soothing, and safety. When you practice self-compassion, when you use a warm internal tone, place a hand on your heart, or offer yourself a kind word, you activate a completely different neural pathway. This stimulates the vagus nerve, a key component of our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our body's rest and digest, or calm and connect mode. It releases hormones like oxytocin, often called the love hormone, which fosters feelings of trust, safety, and belonging. When the care system is active, your heart rate slows, your muscles relax, and that wise prefrontal cortex comes back online. You can see the bigger picture. You can learn from your mistakes without being defined by them. You can access your creativity and resilience. So, simply put, punishment activates the threat system, which creates fear and paralyzes our ability to grow. Compassion activates the care system, which creates safety and unleashes our potential. Discipline, built on a foundation of fear, is a fragile, brittle discipline, prone to shattering. Discipline built on a foundation of safety and understanding is a resilient, flexible discipline with the innate ability to self-recover. It's not about being soft, it's about being smart. It's about using your brain's own wiring to your advantage. To understand the power of compassion more deeply, let's explore its 3 core components, according to the research of Dr. Kristin Neff, a leading expert in this field. These 3 components are like the 3 legs of a stool, creating a solid foundation for self-kindness. The first component is self-kindness versus self-judgment. This is what we talked about in the example of the best friend. It is the choice to treat ourselves with warmth and understanding when facing difficulties, failures, or aspects of ourselves we don't like. Instead of getting angry with ourselves for making a mistake, we gently acknowledge, I made a mistake. But mistakes are part of the learning process. Kindness is not about hiding mistakes, but about illuminating them with the light of empathy instead of condemnation. The second component, a very important one, is the recognition of our common humanity versus isolation. This is a key point. When we fail, the jailer's voice often whispers in our ear, "You're the only one who fails so miserably. Everyone else is doing great. You're the only loser." This thought creates an extreme sense of isolation and shame. We feel separated from the rest of humanity. But what is the truth? The truth is, to be human means to be imperfect. Making mistakes, failing, facing difficulties is a common experience for everyone on this earth, without exception. Imagine each of us carrying an invisible backpack containing our own fears, insecurities, and failures. From the outside, we can't see the burdens of others, and we mistakenly think we are the only ones struggling. The person you admire most, whether a successful entrepreneur, a talented artist, or a brilliant scientist, they also have days of self-doubt, failed projects, and moments of feeling not good enough. They just don't talk about it often. The recognition of our common humanity is a powerful reminder that your pain, your failure, does not make you different or inferior. It connects you with everyone. When you miss a workout, remember that millions of others have done the same today. When you say something silly in a meeting, know that everyone has had moments like that. Instead of asking, "Why am I so bad?" try asking, "How does this show that I am a normal human being?" This change in question will transform the feeling of shame and isolation into a feeling of connection and empathy. And the third component is mindfulness versus over-identification. Mindfulness here is not something esoteric. It is simply the ability to observe our negative thoughts and emotions in a balanced way, not ignoring them, but also not letting them overwhelm us. When we over-identify with an emotion, we get caught in its vortex. If we feel sad, we believe, "I am a sad person." If we feel like a failure, we believe, "I am a failure." We drown in that emotion, letting it define our entire being in that moment. Mindfulness helps us create space. It's like you're standing in the middle of an emotional storm, and you take a step back, finding a safe shelter to watch the storm. Instead of "I am a failure," we can observe and say, I am having a thought that I am a failure. I am feeling a very strong sense of disappointment." Do you see? There is a subtle but huge difference. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the space that contains all of them. Just as the sky is not the clouds, the sky is still there, whether dark or white clouds come and go. When we practice mindfulness, we allow ourselves to feel the pain without being swallowed by it. We can say, "This is really painful right now. I accept this feeling." This acceptance, paradoxically, is the first step for the pain to begin to heal and dissipate. These 3 components, self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness, together create a powerful remedy for the soul. They help us face life with courage, resilience, and love. At this point, you might ask, "This sounds great, but how do I practice it? How can I change the voice of the jailer inside me, a voice that has been ingrained in my subconscious for so many years?" This is a very important question, and the answer is, start with small steps, slowly and patiently, just like learning a new musical instrument or a new language. There will be times when you feel clumsy, times when you revert to old habits. That's okay. The important thing is to recognize it and gently return to the new path. Think of your mind as a garden. For many years, we have let the weeds of self-criticism grow rampant. Now, we can't expect to pull them all out in one day. What we need to do is patiently sow the seeds of compassion, a little each day. Water them with the water of kindness, fertilize them with the fertilizer of understanding. Gradually, the flowers of compassion will bloom and your mental garden will become more beautiful. And here are a few suggestions, a few seeds that Minecraft wants to share with you. Think of them as invitations, not rigid rules. The first seed, and perhaps the most important, is to learn to recognize. You can't change something if you don't know it exists. Try to become an observer of your own thoughts. For one day, pay attention to the times you talk to yourself, especially when you make a mistake, when you feel tired, or when you don't achieve something. What is the voice inside you saying? Is it judging? Is it comparing you to others? Is it using harsh words like stupid, lazy, useless? The first step is simply to recognize, there's that voice again, the jailer's voice. Don't try to suppress it. Don't get angry with it. Just acknowledge its presence objectively. Naming it is a huge step forward. It creates a small distance between you and that voice. You are not that voice. You are the one who hears it. The second seed, practice a compassionate pause. When you realize you are criticizing yourself, instead of immediately believing those words and sinking into guilt, take a pause. Just one breath is enough. In that pause, you can place your hand on your heart. This physical gesture can help activate the body's care system. Feel the warmth from your palm. Breathe in and recognize the uncomfortable feeling, the disappointment rising within you. Breathe out and allow that feeling to exist without judgment. You can tell yourself, this is difficult right now, or this feeling of disappointment is not pleasant. This is the practice of mindfulness. Then, remind yourself, difficulty is a part of life. Many people are feeling the same way. This is the practice of common humanity. This simple act helps you validate your own emotions. You acknowledge that your pain is real. This is the foundation of kindness. Instead of adding fuel to the fire with criticism, you are using a little cool water to soothe the burn. And the third seed, this is the transformation step. Re-dialogue with yourself. This is when we truly play the role of the best friend. Ask yourself, if my best friend were in this situation and felt this way, what would I say to them? You certainly wouldn't use harsh words. You would use understanding and encouragement. So try to give those words to yourself. For example, instead of saying, "Oh my God, I wasted the whole evening scrolling through social media again. I'm such a failure." Try to re-dialogue. Recognition and understanding. Okay, I realize I just spent 2 hours scrolling on my phone instead of reading a book. I'm feeling a bit regretful and blaming myself. Seeking kindness and common humanity. But maybe I had a very stressful day at work. Maybe my mind needed some time to shut down and not think about anything. That's a legitimate human need. Everyone needs to unwind sometimes. Moving towards a solution. This doesn't define who I am. It's just one action on one evening. Tomorrow is a new day. What can I do a little differently tomorrow night? Maybe I'll charge my phone in another room after 9 p.m., or I'll just read 5 pages of a book. A small step is still progress. Do you see the difference? The second dialogue doesn't deny the truth. It still acknowledges that time was wasted. But it places the event in a larger context, a context of empathy and looking towards the future, instead of being stuck in the self-reproach of the past. This change in inner language has immense power. It turns failure from a verdict into a lesson. It turns self-blame into self-reflection. Another seed is to redefine success and failure. Punishment-style discipline often goes hand in hand with an all-or-nothing mentality. Either I have to run 5 kilometers every day, or I don't run at all. Either I have to eat completely clean, or I eat whatever I want. This mentality easily leads to failure, because life is not perfect. There will be days when you are sick, days when you are busy, days when you are sad. Discipline from compassion teaches us a more flexible mindset. Success is not 100% perfection. Success is persistent effort. Success is getting back on track after you fall. Focus on the process instead of just the outcome. When you love the process, the results will come naturally. If your goal is to meditate for 20 minutes every day, and today you can only sit still for 5 minutes, that's not a failure. That's a success. You have dedicated 5 minutes to silence, which is more than 0 minutes. Acknowledge and celebrate that small victory. It is these small victories that will build the confidence and motivation for you to keep going. Think of each of your efforts as a scientist's experiment. A scientist doesn't fail, they just find ways that don't work and collect data. When your plan doesn't work, don't say, "I failed." Say, "This method isn't very effective. The data shows I need to adjust. Next week, I'll try a different way." This approach removes the ego and judgment from the process and turns self-improvement into an exciting journey of discovery. Now that we have these tools, let's see how they work in the real world, in situations we all face. Let's explore compassionate reframing in action. Scenario A, procrastination at work. Imagine you have a big project due. You know you should start, but you find yourself cleaning the kitchen, organizing your bookshelf, doing anything but the task at hand. The jailer's voice gets louder. "You're so lazy. You're gonna fail. You're a fraud, and everyone is gonna find out." This criticism doesn't motivate you. It paralyzes you. The shame makes the task feel even more monumental. A compassionate approach looks different. You pause and acknowledge the feeling. "Okay, I'm feeling a lot of anxiety about this project, and I'm avoiding it." Then you offer kindness. "It's understandable to feel this way. This is a challenging project, and I'm afraid of not doing it well." You connect with common humanity. Procrastination is a common response to fear of failure. Many talented people struggle with this. Finally, you move to a solution, but a gentle one. What is one tiny, non-threatening step I can take right now? I don't have to write the whole report. Can I just open the document and write a single sentence? Can I just find one piece of research? By lowering the bar and removing the shame, you break the paralysis. The goal is not a sudden burst of perfect productivity. It's simply to begin. Scenario B, conflict with a loved one. You've had an argument with your partner or a close friend. After the heat of the moment, you're left with a heavy feeling of guilt and regret. The jailer replays your words on a loop. "You always say the wrong thing. You've ruined it. It's all your fault." This self-blame can lead you to either shut down in shame or become overly defensive. Let's apply the compassionate lens. First, mindfulness. I'm noticing a lot of guilt and sadness. My chest feels heavy. Then, self-kindness. It's painful to have conflict with someone I care about. It's okay to feel upset. And crucially, common humanity. Relationships are complex. Misunderstandings happen. Everyone says things they regret sometimes. This is part of being in a relationship with another imperfect human. From this place of self-acceptance, you can then ask a more constructive question. What is a loving and responsible step I can take towards repair? It might be apologizing for your part, or simply giving the other person space, or asking to talk again when you're both calm. Compassion allows you to take responsibility without being consumed by shame, leading to healing instead of further damage. Scenario C, body image and fitness goals. You've been trying to eat healthier and exercise, but you step on the scale and the number hasn't budged. Or you scroll through social media and see images of perfect bodies. The jailer's voice is merciless. "See, it's pointless. You'll never look like that. You're disgusting." This kind of talk often leads to giving up entirely, perhaps even binge eating as a way to soothe the pain of the self-attack. A compassionate response would be to first acknowledge the pain. "I'm feeling really disappointed and discouraged right now." Then, offer kindness. It's hard when you put in effort and don't see the results you want. It's okay to feel this way. Connect with common humanity. Millions of people struggle with their body image. The images on social media are often unrealistic and filtered. My struggle is a shared one. Finally, you can reframe the goal from a place of care, not punishment. Instead of focusing on a number on the scale, what is one kind thing I can do for my body today? Can I take it for a walk in the sun? Can I nourish it with a healthy meal because it deserves to feel good, not because I need to punish it? This shifts the motivation from self-hatred to self-care, making the journey sustainable and even enjoyable. These small, moment-to-moment applications are powerful, and when we string them together, they can change the entire narrative of our lives. Now, even with these tools, many of us encounter a significant roadblock. We try to offer ourselves a kind word, and another voice immediately chimes in. "This is fake. You don't deserve this. You're just letting yourself off the hook." This resistance is a real and valid part of the process, and it's crucial that we address it with curiosity, not with more force. This is where we explore the idea of overcoming resistance, when compassion feels inauthentic. First, it's important to acknowledge that this feeling of artificiality is completely normal. For those of us who have a long history of self-criticism or have experienced trauma, being kind to ourselves can feel unfamiliar, undeserved, and even unsafe. The inner jailer has been in charge for so long that its voice feels like the truth. Kindness feels like a lie. Sometimes when we first open the door to compassion, we experience what Dr. Neff calls a backdraft. Imagine opening the door to a burning room. The sudden influx of oxygen can cause the flames to roar back at you. Similarly, when we offer kindness to parts of ourselves that have been neglected and hurt for a long time, a wave of long-suppressed pain, sadness, or anger can surge to the surface. It can be overwhelming. Many people mistake this for a sign that compassion isn't working. In reality, it is a sign that it is working. It means you have finally created enough safety for the old wounds to come into the light to be healed. The key is to meet this backdraft not with panic, but with more gentle compassion, acknowledging the pain that is finally being allowed to speak. So, what do we do when kindness feels like a lie? We can practice what I like to call compassionate microdosing. If saying I love myself feels impossible, don't start there. Start with something much smaller, something that feels true. Perhaps you can start with, I am willing to be open to the possibility of being kinder to myself. Or even just, this is a moment of suffering. That's it. You're not trying to fix it or change it, you're just naming it with a gentle awareness. These tiny seeds of acknowledgement are often more powerful than grand, inauthentic affirmations. Furthermore, we can have compassion for the resistance itself. That part of you that is resisting kindness isn't your enemy. It's a protector. It's a part of you that learned somewhere along the way that being hard on yourself was necessary for survival, to motivate you, to keep you safe from the judgment of others, to prevent you from getting hurt. So instead of fighting it, you can turn toward it with kindness. You can say internally, I see you, the part of me that is afraid. Thank you for trying so hard to protect me. I understand why you believe being harsh is the only way. But maybe, just maybe, we can try something new together. We can try a little kindness and see if we can be safe in a different way. This dialogue transforms an internal battle into an internal collaboration. Let me tell you a specific story. The story of Laura, a friend of our channel. Laura wanted to build a daily writing habit with the goal of writing a book. Initially, Laura applied punishment-style discipline. She set a goal to write 1,000 words every day, not one word less. The first few days, she did it. But then one day, she came home late from work. Her mind was tense. She sat in front of a blank screen and couldn't write a single line. That night, Laura couldn't sleep. The jailer's voice echoed, "See? You have no talent. You're not disciplined enough. Just give up." The feeling of guilt and shame overwhelmed her. The next day, she was afraid to face the blank page, and she didn't write anymore. She gave up. A few months later, Laura found the method of discipline from compassion. She decided to try again. This time, her goal was different. Not 1,000 words. Her goal was, every day, I will open the Word file and sit in front of it for 15 minutes. There were days when, in those 15 minutes, she wrote 500 words. She smiled to herself and acknowledged, "Good job." There were days when she only wrote a single sentence. She also smiled and acknowledged, "Great, I completed my goal of sitting down for 15 minutes." And there were days when she just sat there, looking at the screen, and couldn't write a word. On those days, instead of beating herself up, she practiced compassionate dialogue. She told herself, it's okay. The ideas aren't coming today. The fact that I'm sitting here ready to receive them is a valuable effort. Maybe I need to rest. I'll try again tomorrow. She began to realize that creativity is like the weather. Some days are sunny, some days are rainy. She learned to appreciate the rainy days too. She no longer saw not being able to write as a personal failure. She saw it as a natural part of the creative process. And because there was no pressure to be perfect, no fear of punishment, Laura felt relieved. She was happy with her journey. And you know what? Gradually, the days of writing only one sentence became fewer. The days of writing 500 words, 700 words, even 1,000 words appeared more often. Not because she forced herself, but because she had created a safe space for creativity to flourish. She had built her discipline on a foundation of kindness and patience. Her book, little by little, was taking shape. What does Laura's story show us? Discipline from compassion is not a shortcut. It may not bring immediate results like fear can, but it is a sustainable path. It nurtures us from within instead of wearing us down. It turns the journey of self-development from a battle into a dance between effort and permission, between determination and rest, between goals and kindness. My dear friend, the journey of building a new person, a better version of yourself, doesn't have to be a journey filled with tears and self-reproach. It can be a journey of discovery, of acceptance, and of love. True discipline is not about never falling. It's about how you treat yourself when you fall. Will you use the whip of punishment to strike the wound again? Or will you use the hands of compassion to gently lift yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep going? That choice is yours in every single moment. Perhaps right now, you still find the voice of compassion strange, even artificial. That's completely natural. When a voice is too familiar, a new voice will make us doubt. If you find it difficult to say kind words to yourself, try another way. Borrow a voice. Think of someone who has always been good to you. It could be your grandmother, a former teacher, a best friend, or even a character you admire. Imagine they are right beside you now. When you make a mistake, what would they say to you? Let their warm and loving voice echo in your mind instead of the jailer's voice. Gradually, you will internalize that kindness, and it will become a part of you. This is a journey of practice, not a destination. There will be days when you do it very well, and days when you forget and revert to old habits. And that's also part of the practice. Even when you realize you have failed to practice compassion, that is a great opportunity to practice compassion for that very failure. Smile and say, I forgot again. It's okay. I'll try again now. Today, when this program ends, you may return to your life and hear the familiar voice of the jailer again. That's completely normal. Don't be discouraged. Just gently recognize it, smile at it, and then try to choose to say a kind word to yourself. Even just one word. You did your best. It's okay to rest for a bit. This is a difficult moment. Difficulty is a part of life. Let's start again tomorrow. A kind word can change a whole day, and many such days will change a whole life. Mindcraft would love to hear your story. Have you ever tried to dialogue with yourself with compassion? What does the voice of the jailer inside you usually say? And what loving words do you want to replace it with? Among the three components of compassion, self-kindness, common humanity, and mindfulness, which one do you feel closest to right now? Please share your feelings and stories in the comments below so we can learn together, practice together, and build a community that knows how to love and support itself. Thank you for spending time listening and reflecting with Mindcraft. I wish you a very peaceful evening inside, no matter what is happening outside. Goodbye, and see you in the next episode.